Ken, and we're here at the Parks Associates soiree at CES 2013. Another great event. It's kind of winding down now, but man, it was packed a few minutes ago.
Thanks to Lowe's for sponsoring.
Well, and thank you, Lowe's. And Stuart, you guys had a great event today. Tell us what you guys talked about.
Well, we talked, of course, a lot about entertainment. We also talked about the connected home space. We talked about content and business models. I think a few key takeaways were one item is the first time in numbers of years of CES, I heard some industry insiders talking about the fact that the set-top box, the days of the set-top box, in fact, may be numbered. For many years, we've been talking about, is the set-top box dead? And the answer's been, no, it's going to live a long time. Today, I heard a number of things about new smart TV designs, of course, Roku-like cards that go into TV, and some of the people very close to the subject were starting to talk about the benefits and the sort of the freedom of jettisoning the baggage of the set-top box. So that was a new insight that I hadn't heard before.
So one of the things there, are you seeing a shift from the TV makers themselves to the manufacturers as far as that they have to do with the whole smart application thing themselves, or they work with others like a Roku?
Well, a couple of great things about the smart TV is the smart TV consortium sort of provides the optimism that perhaps we're going to have a standards body surrounding the architecture of software on a smart TV, which would tremendously facilitate development on smart TV, in theory anyway. Also, the fact that there's a lot of intelligence and quad processors now built into smart TVs, the whole necessity of the set-top box is now being called into question. Another interesting discussion today was the idea of I believe the term was screen zero or input zero. So that means, despite the fact that consumers may have pay TV provider relationships, they'll turn on their TV and they'll see an interface that's not owned by the pay TV provider, but is owned by the smart TV provider, but accommodates the content that they're purchasing from the pay TV provider, as well as over-the-top services like Netflix. So home base essentially would be provided not by the pay TV provider, but by the smart TV manufacturer, which is a new concept.
Almost like what you see in the hotel, where the first channel you turn on isn't the cable company.
That's right, and all the solutions are branch out from that perspective.
Interesting. So what other topics were discussed today? Well,
interestingly, probably the biggest session in terms of attendance was our smart home session. Our sessions that encompassed a number of players, service providers. We had Verizon. We had Lowe's. We had a number of companies that are positioned in the smart home space. So we're talking about IP home services like energy management, home controls, lighting controls. So a couple of interesting observations was number one, it was the biggest session by attendance, and secondly, there was a lot of discussion about we're over the standards discussion. There'll be multiple standards. We're not going to waste any more time arguing about standards. We're going to embrace those. One of the key points made was that we're going to have to live with gateway devices. There will be no Uber gateway, so we're going to have multiple devices that are offering bridges into functionality. And one of the key points I thought was the fact that someone said, hey, once consumers get used to the conveniences brought by some of these home controls applications, they're never going to give them up. Mm-hmm. And so, it's about getting a toehold into the home and getting the consumer accustomed to the benefits, and then they're just going to ramp up from there.
And how is the adoption? Are people starting to use it, or is it one of these things where they might download an app and then forget about it?
Well, it's certainly mixed. I think it's hard to say that there's runaway success in the home control space for the mass market. But if you look at things like Nest, I keep hearing that Nest can't make enough devices, that they're back ordered.
What kind of devices does Nest make?
Nest makes a smart thermostat, a smart learning thermostat, and I think it's still a bit of a tough market with a lot of fits and starts, but I think there's some serious commitments to making it a smart, hands-off experience for the consumer. So I think we're on our way.
Well, and I'm sure it's kind of a preview to next month in your Smart Energy Summit, right?
That's right. We'll be in San Antonio at the end of February, and we'll be looking at certainly new devices, new services offered by providers, but really examining business models and value propositions. If this industry is going to take off, we all need to understand exactly what the value propositions are that are going to resonate, how people are going to make money, how consumers are going to benefit, and where the partnerships or alignments are going to take place. They're starting to form, and we're seeing players like ADT and Verizon and others with utilities making progress. So I think we're sort of turning a corner, if you will.
So we're going to learn about that next month. In May, you'll talk to, we'll be at the CTIA. But coming out of this conference, any particular trend for 2013 that we should be aware of, or trends?
Well, I think some trends we'll see are some changes in the way that service providers offer services. I think that we'll see in the next year that some pay TV providers will offer a more seamless approach to both over-the-top content as well as VOD and linear content. So I think that's going to happen. I think that we'll continue to see the Internet of Things really take off. And it's difficult at a place like CES. I mean, how do you show sort of the sexy, glamorous displays of the Internet of Things, which for the most part act in the background?
Right.
But I think evidence of that is this year's show on the floor. There's the whole digital health section is quite full of players, much larger than before. They're no longer off at the Sands. They're now here in their mainstream, so I think we're well on our way towards of seeing all kinds of connected services being offered to consumers that are they're not as sexy as the ultra high definition TVs, but they're here to stay.
Well, Stuart, I look forward to continued conversations.
Thank you very much, Ken. Take care.